One of the most common questions I get is, how did you get all these guitars? How did you trade up to that? And the truth is, I have 6 rules that I follow every single time to help make sure that I'm always winning. So what I'm about to share with you, it's not the be-all end-all. It's not a definitive list. It's not something you have to follow verbatim. I don't need all those trolls. I didn't do it this way and I did just fine. I'm gonna share with you 6 rules that will absolutely ensure that if you're looking to move up in the world of guitar, you're looking to get some better instruments, you're looking to trade, you're looking to get a collection, follow these. It's that simple. Follow the rules and you'll do better. Weird concept, Benny. So rule number uno, and I've said this over and over and over, and if there are 3 words that this channel instills into your brain, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Have a clue of what you're talking about before you engage. Because one of the #1 ways for people to get amazing instruments is when other people are stupid. And by stupid, I mean uninformed, not knowledgeable, ignorant, arrogant. There are plenty of things. I'll give you a perfect example with myself. I'm holding this guitar for a reason. I went to an estate sale years ago and they had tons of guitars. In fact, I got my entire Hellcaster set, all 3 of these amazing Japanese Fenders, from one dude. I had the pick of the litter of a bunch of guitars. And I have to say, because my knowledge was lacking, I made some stupid decisions that I have had nightmares about. I saw this guitar amongst many other guitars. There was also a Schecter Strat from the 80s that my friend Heath ended up selling in like the $3,500 range. Could have bought it for $600. There were all these incredible Strats, including one of the smart decisions I made, which is to buy this master-built John Page Strat. But I had no idea what it was. I bought it completely on a whim. He had about 10 Strats. I was like, oh, I want the sparkly one. And then I want this one because it looked beautiful. It looked expensive. On the back of the neck, as you can see, was Corona, California. And for people that know, it's where the Fender Custom Shop is. So I looked at this guitar and I said, wow, this has to be something cool. And instead of buying another set of the Hellcasters, instead of buying that 80s Schecter Strat, I bought this thing. Convinced it was worth something, despite the fact this guy had all the papers in the case. It told me it was a John Page Strat, and I said, I don't know who John Page is, but he sounds like he's probably important. He is. I opened up this case, no paperwork, no problem. Handed $1,250 for this guitar. Thinking I'm getting a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 guitar. Nope, took the neck right off, and what did I have? This is a Warmoth part Strat. This guy, I think, clearly ordered Fender Custom Shop pieces and Frankensteined them on this Frankenstrat. So instead of buying guitars that were worth 5, 6 times this, I bought this guitar because I had no knowledge of it. I wasn't in my own lane. I don't know crap about Strats, at least at that time. Now I know a little bit, but I also know, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. If you don't know about Strats, don't try and buy Strats right off the bat because somebody is going to out-knowledge you. Because as I said earlier, knowledge is power. So not only did I don't want to say waste my money on this because it's a cool guitar for what it is. It's called an opportunity cost. Instead of buying much more valuable guitars, much rarer guitars, that was my opportunity, I bought this. So for example, that Schecter Strat, $3,500. Could have got it for $600. So that was $2,900 I would have made. Instead bought this for $1,250, worth maybe $600. So I lost $650. About a $3,500 opportunity cost because I'm a dummy. Or I was a dummy. Because at that point in my life, knowledge wasn't the power that was guiding me with guitars. It was just, oh look, it's mauve, it's pretty, it has gold. I bought this guitar on a whim. I didn't have much knowledge of it. I was just going down through Reverb and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. It's only $550. That seems cheap. I didn't know about this guitar at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, but by 5 p.m., I knew a lot about this guitar. The first thing I did was look through 100 other sales of this guitar, and I'm like, oh wow, that one went for $1,200, that one went for $900, that one went for $2,000 in minty condition. And after looking at about, 25 sales, reading that, hey, guess what? This version that has the L5 flower pot headstock logo is from a time in Ibanez that they were being sued by Gibson. And these ones are even more valuable. So for $550, when I would say the median price on the internet was probably $900 to $1,000 at the time, this was a win. I took the time to do a little research. In fact, a lot of research, to the point where I felt confident that if I spent $550 on this guitar, I wasn't going to lose. Which brings me to my next point. If you want to trade up, don't die on a hill with one guitar. Have an inventory. I say that because emotion is the death to logic. If you're really emotional about one guitar or you only have one guitar, that's your only at bat. So sometimes, maybe I want to trade for that Les Paul. This is all I have. You have to find someone who wants this guitar straight up for it. Now maybe you have some amps, maybe you have an SM57 microphone, some other stuff. I call them pot sweeteners. The more opportunities you have for someone to make a decision, the more chances you have of winning. Because if you want to trade just this guitar, someone might lowball you, they may not give you the value. But if you got 10 guitars, oh my God, I love Nighthawks. Nighthawks are my favorite. I haven't seen one in that amber color in years. And then they get emotional, and next thing you know, they're making you offers. They saw something in your collection. When you have one thing, you're dying on a hill with one guitar. As they say in investment, diversify your portfolio. You have a Strat, you have a Nighthawk, you have a Les Paul, you have a PRS. Now you're working with an inventory. So you can get more creative as far as the deals that people offer you and the deals that you offer other people. Which leads me to my third point. 2 is better than 1. I traded for this 1991 PRS Custom 24 with the Brazilian rosewood fretboard with a throw-in. I traded a Nash Telecaster that I got for literally, I think it was the equivalent of $200 or $300 of throw-ins in a deal because someone needed to sweeten the pot. I got a Nash Tele, didn't care for the guitar very much, and straight up traded for a guitar that's worth $3,000 to $3,500. When you're working 1, 2, 3 guitars at a time, when you're working, throwing in and sweetening the pot, whether someone wants to give you a microphone or an extra amp or a cabinet, take it. Even though it may not mean a ton to you, know the value of it. That, hey, that Fender cab is still worth $800, even though I don't need a cab and I don't care, nor do I have the space for it. Bringing you to point number 4. Treat it like a business. Always be winning. If you know that your trade that you're setting up, you're losing out in the end, or you're giving in because you go, I need that guitar so much, I'm gonna lose sleep over it, that you're willing to give more than it's worth. You're not trading up, you're giving away. You're either selling them on yes or they're selling you on no. Who's gonna win? Somebody's always winning. Number 5 is always be good to people because they're the same people on the way up as they are on the way down. If you treat people nice, if you are kind to people, if you communicate in an effective way, you'll find that people not only are more generous and willing to give you things knowing that, hey, he really likes this, I don't care about this PRS anymore, even though the Nash isn't worth as much. So the guy who traded me this, he knew that the Nash was only worth about $2,000, $2,500, what have you. Didn't care. He wasn't into this guitar for that much. That was the guitar he wanted. So he made a business decision to trade the Nash for this. Now that's not trading up, that's trading emotionally, and it's also having good trader's karma, because sometimes when you give people the win, it'll come back to you. So it's not to say don't ever let somebody else win if it means that you're winning emotionally. But that's not trading up, that's trading laterally. That's trading this way. We want to trade up. So when I say treat it like a business, always make sure that your bottom line, you're winning. Every little bit counts. Perfect example, here's my 1942, and that's the FON on it. I think it was shipped in 43, okay? This is a non-banner 1942 Southern Jumbo. In fact, the batch that this is from are the only group of guitars from 1942 that don't have "Only a Gibson is Good Enough" on the headstock. This is a $20,000 to $30,000 Kalamazoo Gals Southern Jumbo. This guitar was at the Manchester Music Mill for $20,000. Now I know many of you may be like, oh, that guy's rich, maybe his parents buy him all this stuff. I don't have 20 grand. If I needed a kidney, I don't know if I could come up with 20 grand. That's a lot of money. But I went to my buddy Joe at the Manchester Music Mill and I said, can I trade you for this guitar? Now it was close to Christmas time. And the thing is, this guitar for $20,000 is not the easiest sell. Even though it's absolutely worth it, even though it's a great guitar, you have to find the guy that wanted to spend $20,000 on this guitar. Joe said to me, Benny, I know you have a ton of guitars. Get me an inventory of a bunch of stuff I can sell over Christmas. He gave me retail value for $20,000 worth of guitars. For this guitar, I traded a Nags. I traded a Fender 60s cab. I traded a 10-top Paul Reed Smith with 3 P90s in it. A Koa Taylor. A bunch of guitars. Nothing that I couldn't find again. Nothing that was super rare or crazy. Just a bunch of valuable guitars that Joe, as a guy running a retail store, could make more money off of and move faster for this guitar. When I tabulated all the prices of the stuff that I traded, I was $7,000 into it for this. I traded a bunch of guitars I got as extras, as throw-ins, or even just knowing, hey, that Paul Reed Smith with the 3 pickups with the 10 top, wasn't a big fan of that guitar, but I knew it was valuable. I knew it was great trade bait. I traded for it specifically knowing that at some point I was gonna put it in a deal. I got the greatest Gibson acoustic I have ever played anywhere. Which brings me to my last point. Always be able to get out of it. Have an exit strategy. That means that if I trade for this guitar and I'm $3,000 into it, know that you can get that $3,000 back out of it and that you're not stuck with this guitar if it sucks or you don't like it. How do you do that? I only trade or buy guitars at what I believe to be 50 to 70% of current street market value. Meaning that if this guitar is $5,000, I wouldn't spend more than $2,500 to $3,000 on it because first off, full-blown retail, you're probably not gonna get it. It's not something you're gonna easily just do. So even though this might be worth $5,000, it could be sitting on the internet for a year before you actually get that kind of money. I wanna know that if I trade $3,000 for this guitar on a Friday, that by Monday, if I really wanted to get rid of it, within a week I could dump it and be back to where I was, square one. Make sure you're always into things at the right price. Even though every guitar may feel like a forever guitar, you may trade it. You may sell it. For example, that acoustic. I had $20,000 worth of trade I was only into for $7 grand. Now think about that. That means that the average at which I got each one of those instruments was 35% of retail price. That's something that you can only get to if you're doing this for a long period of time. So I was trading up and trading up and trading up and trading up, and then I cashed in. So it's kind of like when you go to the Dream Machine and you're playing skee ball for years, and finally you take all your tickets and you're like, I want that pink teddy bear. Give it to me. You've been coming here for 3 years. I know, to get the pink teddy bear. I've been trading up for years to be able to cash in to get the greatest Gibson acoustic ever, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I know you guys don't even care about acoustics, but I care about acoustics, and that guitar made me very happy, and I know I can get out of it. I've had multiple people offer me more than what it was originally listed for. Karma is a real thing. We have knowledge is power, have an inventory, be good to people, have an exit strategy, always be able to get out of it so you don't get stuck with the guitar or end up moving backwards. Treat it like a business. Emotions to death to logic. If a guitar's worth $500 and you like the other guitar that's worth $350 and they're willing to do a straight trade, don't do it. It's bad business if you're trying to trade up. And lastly, 2 for 2 is always better. Because when you start combining deals, that's when you start getting the stuff like the Nash Telly just thrown in for me. Traded it straight up for a Paul Reed Smith. And remember, energy transfers. So if you're winning and you start to gain momentum, you can turn $7,000 into the guitar that belongs in a museum that you could sell for a car.
Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?